There is a powerful misunderstanding that traps countless people throughout their lives. They believe that if they become more accommodating, more available, and more eager to please, they will naturally become more valuable in the eyes of others. Yet human nature rarely works this way. Value is not created through constant pursuit. It is created through character, discipline, and purpose. Many people spend their lives trying to become admired, believing that attention is the same as value. They carefully shape their image, seek constant approval, and measure their success by how many people notice them. While admiration may feel rewarding, it is often temporary because it depends on the opinions of others, and opinions change with circumstances. Human nature is unpredictable. The same crowd that praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. If your confidence is built on admiration alone, your emotional stability will rise and fall with every compliment and every criticism. A wiser approach is to build a life that deserves admiration rather than one that constantly seeks it. This begins by focusing on qualities that remain valuable regardless of public recognition. Develop your knowledge, strengthen your character, improve your skills, honor your commitments, and pursue goals that have genuine meaning. Every disciplined action becomes another piece of evidence that your life is moving in the right direction, even when nobody is watching. Over time, this creates confidence that does not depend on applause because it is rooted in personal growth instead of public opinion. Human psychology naturally respects people who possess genuine substance. Someone who quietly continues improving without constantly announcing every achievement often leaves a stronger impression than someone who spends all their energy seeking attention. Their actions speak with a credibility that words cannot match. Building a meaningful life also changes your relationships. Instead of trying to impress everyone you meet, you become more interested in surrounding yourself with people who share your values and encourage your growth. You no longer feel compelled to perform for acceptance because your sense of worth comes from living according to your principles. This freedom allows you to remain authentic even when others disagree with your choices. It also makes rejection easier to accept because your identity is no longer dependent on universal approval. The admiration that eventually comes is no longer something you desperately chase. It becomes a natural response to the discipline, integrity, and purpose reflected in your everyday actions. By investing your energy in becoming someone of genuine character, instead of someone who merely seeks attention, you create a life that commands quiet respect, inspires trust, and leaves a lasting impression, not because you ask the world to admire you, but because your consistent actions made admiration a natural consequence of the person you chose to become. Your time and attention are the two most valuable resources you possess because, unlike money or possessions, they can never be replaced once they are spent. Every hour you give away and every thought you repeatedly entertain shape the direction of your life. Human psychology often encourages people to invest these resources carelessly. Endless scrolling, constant comparison, unnecessary arguments, and the pursuit of other people's approval quietly consume attention that could have been used to build knowledge, strengthen character, or create meaningful opportunities. Many individuals believe they have unlimited time, so they give immediate access to anyone who demands it, responding to every distraction as though it deserves equal importance. Over time, this habit weakens focus and leaves little energy for personal growth. Protecting your time and attention does not mean becoming selfish or isolating yourself from others. It means recognizing that every commitment has a cost. Saying yes to one unnecessary distraction often means saying no to something that truly matters. People who understand this become intentional with their daily choices. They create space for learning, reflection, meaningful work, healthy relationships, and personal development because they know these investments produce lasting results. Human nature naturally respects individuals who have clear priorities. A person who values their own time communicates self-respect without needing to say a word. They do not feel pressured to answer every message immediately, attend every gathering, or involve themselves in every conflict. Instead, they choose carefully where their energy will have the greatest impact. This discipline also strengthens emotional well-being. When your attention is no longer scattered across countless distractions, your mind becomes calmer and your decisions become clearer. You stop reacting impulsively to every opinion or temporary emotion because your focus remains directed toward long-term purpose rather than short-term stimulation. Relationships improve as well because the attention you give becomes genuine instead of divided. People appreciate quality presence far more than constant availability. By protecting your time and attention, you begin living according to your own priorities instead of allowing circumstances or other people to dictate them. Gradually, your confidence grows because each day reflects deliberate choices rather than endless reactions. Your greatest achievements are rarely the result of dramatic moments, but of consistent focus applied over time. When you guard your attention with wisdom and invest your time where it creates meaningful growth, you build a life defined by purpose, discipline, and lasting fulfillment rather than by distraction, urgency, and the endless pursuit of things that ultimately add little value. Emotional self-control is one of the quietest yet most powerful forms of influence a person can develop. Many people assume influence comes from speaking persuasively, displaying authority, or always having the right answer. While these qualities can be helpful, they lose much of their effectiveness if a person cannot manage their own emotions. Human nature is highly responsive to emotional energy. When someone reacts impulsively to criticism, becomes overwhelmed by rejection, or allows anger to dictate every response, they reveal that their emotions are controlling them rather than the other way around. In contrast, a person who remains calm, thoughtful, and composed during difficult situations creates an immediate sense of stability. This calmness is not a sign of weakness or emotional suppression. It is the result of understanding that every feeling does not require an immediate reaction. Emotional self-control begins with the ability to pause. Instead of speaking from frustration, you take time to understand the situation. Instead of allowing fear to determine your next move, you examine the facts with clarity. This simple habit transforms decision-making because your actions become guided by wisdom instead of impulse. People naturally place greater trust in individuals who remain composed under pressure because consistency creates confidence. A calm person makes others feel secure, especially when circumstances become uncertain. Emotional discipline also protects you from manipulation. When other people know that your reactions are predictable, they can often influence your behavior simply by triggering your emotions. However, when you learn to recognize your emotional patterns without immediately acting upon them, you regain control over your own choices. This freedom strengthens every relationship because conversations become more thoughtful, disagreements become more respectful, and decisions become less driven by temporary feelings. Quiet influence grows from this inner stability. You no longer need to dominate conversations or seek attention to earn respect because your composure communicates confidence more effectively than loud words ever could. Others notice your patience, your ability to listen, and your willingness to respond with balance instead of aggression. These qualities inspire trust because they reflect genuine maturity. Over time, emotional self-control becomes part of your character rather than a technique you occasionally practice. Your presence begins to calm situations instead of intensifying them, and your influence grows naturally because people recognize that your actions are directed by principle rather than emotion. In this way, mastering your emotions becomes the foundation for earning lasting respect, building healthier relationships, and quietly influencing others through the strength of your own character. Consistency is one of the most powerful qualities a person can develop because it builds trust in ways that promises alone never can. Anyone can make impressive declarations, speak confidently about future plans, or describe the person they hope to become. Words can inspire for a moment, but human nature ultimately judges people by what they repeatedly do rather than by what they repeatedly say. A promise creates expectation, while consistent action creates belief. This is why people naturally place greater confidence in someone whose behavior remains dependable over time. Every commitment you honor, every responsibility you fulfill, and every disciplined habit you maintain becomes evidence of your character. Unlike dramatic speeches or temporary bursts of motivation, consistency is quiet. It does not demand attention because its strength lies in repetition. Day after day, small actions accumulate until they shape your reputation and influence the way others perceive you. This principle applies to every area of life. In relationships, consistency creates security because people know they can rely on your words being supported by your actions. In professional life, it builds credibility because results become predictable rather than occasional. In personal growth, it strengthens self-confidence because each completed task reinforces the belief that you can trust yourself to follow through. Human psychology responds strongly to reliability because it reduces uncertainty. People feel more comfortable investing their trust in someone whose actions remain steady, even when circumstances become difficult. Consistency also transforms your relationship with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it involves learning a new skill, maintaining healthy habits, or continuing to work toward a meaningful goal, you strengthen your own self-respect. You no longer depend on motivation alone because discipline carries you forward when enthusiasm fades. This creates confidence that cannot be manufactured through positive thinking alone. It is earned through repeated action. Over time, your life begins reflecting your habits instead of your intentions. You become known not for what you claim you will accomplish, but for what you quietly accomplish every day. Others notice your dependability without you needing to remind them of it. Respect grows naturally because your behavior consistently supports your values. By allowing consistency to speak louder than promises, you build a reputation founded on integrity, discipline, and genuine reliability, proving that lasting influence is never created by impressive words alone, but by the quiet power of actions repeated faithfully over time. One of the greatest mistakes a person can make is allowing another individual to become the center of their identity. It often begins subtly. You start organizing your schedule around someone else's availability, measuring your mood by their attention, and making decisions based primarily on whether they approve of you. Over time, your own ambitions, interests, and personal growth gradually move into the background while another person's opinions become the foundation of your confidence. Human nature naturally seeks connection, and healthy relationships are an important part of life. However, there is a significant difference between sharing your life with someone and building your entire identity around them. When your happiness depends almost entirely on another person's presence, you place your emotional stability in circumstances you cannot control. Every disagreement feels overwhelming, every delay creates anxiety, and every moment of distance seems like a threat to your sense of self. This emotional dependence often leads people to compromise their values, ignore unhealthy behavior, or abandon their own goals simply to preserve the relationship. Genuine confidence develops when your identity is rooted in your own character, principles, and purpose, rather than in another person's approval. This means continuing to pursue your ambitions, maintain your friendships, develop your abilities, and honor your responsibilities regardless of your relationship status. A healthy partnership should enrich your life, not replace it. Human psychology naturally respects individuals who possess their own direction because they bring strength and stability into relationships instead of constant emotional need. They care deeply about others while remaining connected to their own values and aspirations. This balance creates healthier interactions because affection is offered freely rather than demanded through fear or insecurity. It also allows both people to grow without feeling responsible for carrying each other's entire emotional identity. When setbacks occur, your sense of worth remains steady because it has been built through consistent self-respect rather than through another person's attention. By refusing to make someone else the center of your identity, you create the freedom to build a life that reflects your own purpose and values. Relationships become choices instead of necessities. Love becomes an expression of mutual respect instead of emotional dependence. And your confidence grows stronger because it is supported by your own actions, discipline, and personal growth. In the end, the healthiest connections are formed not between two people searching for an identity, but between two individuals who have already discovered who they are and choose to walk forward together. Lasting attraction is never created through manipulation, constant attention, or the desperate pursuit of approval. It is earned through the steady development of purpose, integrity, and self-respect. Many people believe that attracting others requires changing who they are, saying the perfect words, or constantly proving their worth. They become so focused on gaining acceptance that they neglect the qualities that naturally inspire admiration. Human nature is drawn toward people who possess genuine substance because authenticity creates trust. Purpose gives your life direction, integrity gives your actions credibility, and self-respect establishes healthy boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. When these qualities become the foundation of your character, your presence begins to influence others without the need for constant effort. Purpose ensures that your happiness is not dependent on another person's attention. You wake each day with meaningful goals that challenge you to grow, contribute, and improve. Instead of spending your energy wondering whether someone appreciates you, you invest that same energy in becoming wiser, more disciplined, and more capable. Integrity strengthens this foundation because it requires your actions to remain consistent with your values, even when no one is watching. People naturally trust those whose behavior matches their words, as reliability creates a sense of security that superficial charm cannot replace. Self-respect completes the picture by teaching you to value your own time, emotions, and principles. It reminds you that kindness should never require sacrificing your dignity, and that healthy relationships are built on mutual appreciation rather than one-sided effort. Human psychology responds positively to individuals who know their worth without feeling the need to constantly announce it. Such people remain humble because they continue learning, yet they also remain confident because their identity is rooted in character rather than public opinion. Their calmness during challenges, patience during uncertainty, and consistency in everyday life quietly communicate strength. Over time, these qualities become far more attractive than temporary displays of confidence or attention-seeking behavior. Relationships formed on this foundation are healthier because they grow from genuine respect instead of emotional dependence. People are drawn to those who live with purpose, act with integrity, and protect their self-respect because these qualities create stability, trust, and authenticity. By dedicating yourself to becoming a person of substance rather than someone searching for constant validation, you build a life that naturally attracts meaningful connections, enduring respect, and lasting influence through the quiet strength of your character rather than the temporary power of appearances.